Kogan analyzing more documents, and right up at the top, I see the 18th Amendment.
Amendment, a change made to the Constitution.
Right here.
27 of them we've made over the years.
So the thing with the Constitution as well, you're talking about legal language, which means,
Lawyer speak.
it's almost like beware, this might be boring.
Yeah.
So anytime someone has like that kind of thing up there, beware, this might be kind of boring. At this point, it's really important to kind of pay attention to other types of clues like dates and purposes and what's going on in the world to kind of like make that connection if you're getting wrapped up in that lawyer language. So the source, this is coming from the United States Constitution, does provide some historical context. So we'll read that and then we'll read into like the section. So the U.S. Senate passed the 18th Amendment on December 18th, 1917. Well, why don't we just stop there with that date? Because I know I can already see your eyes locked onto it. This is my opponent. What do we got?
World War One.
World War One's getting ready to start. It starts taking place. We're getting involved.
And we're amending the Constitution during a war.
Yep.
Interesting.
Women are also fighting for another similar amendment, the right to vote, right around that time.
Right
I'm sure
around that time.
there's documents that took place around that time where women were actually advocating for the right to vote.
Yep.
So it was ratified, this 18th Amendment then was ratified on January 16th, 1919, after 36 states approved it.
13 months later.
13 months later. The 18th Amendment and the enforcement laws accompanying it established prohibition of alcohol in the United States. Wow, we could really just stop at each sentence here, right? If I don't understand what prohibition means, I know I've seen prohibit. And it looks like if I can just take, if I don't get wrapped up in the ambition part of that word, alcohol is coming up next.
And to prohibit, to not allow.
Not allowed. So, several states already had prohibition laws before this amendment. It was eventually repealed by the 21st Amendment on December 5th, 1933.
Great Depression.
It is the only amendment that has ever been completely repealed. So, looking here at the historical context, whatever was included in this 18th Amendment, which we'll get into briefly, apparently it didn't work out.
No.
Because they had to change it.
Yeah.
So, 18 and 21, these two amendment numbers are somehow connected. So, here we have Section 1 of the 18th Amendment. After 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, transportation, importation, and exportation of intoxicating liquors in the United States and all its territory is hereby prohibited. 2. The Congress and the state shall both have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Section 3. This article shall have no power unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of the states, as provided in the Constitution, within 7 years from the date of the submission to the states by the Congress. You see, remember that boring thing we were talking about? That's what you see. It really catches up right there.
Yeah, this last section is really just saying that if it's not ratified by the states within 7 years of December 18th, 1917, then it can't become a law.
And again, ratified, from previous curriculums.
Really, it's the first section we have to look at.
Yeah, the
because
first section.
now, the manufacture of,
Making,
the sale of,
purchasing,
the transportation of,
shipping,
and importation or exportation,
more shipping,
trade in or out of the country,
Yeah.
is now illegal.
of intoxicating liquors.
Of liquor is now illegal. Beer, wine, spirits, liquor stores will now be illegal in this country. Not the consumption.
Right.
Notice not the
No.
consumption.
Sure.
And what you actually see as a result of this is what we see are going on in Washington, D.C. right now with people with gasoline, like trying to go and hoard gasoline.
Sure.
People started hoarding alcohol.
Oh, this was pretty much, this was a 13-year comedy show at best.
Yeah.
And this is where it starts. And when he talks about hoarding gasoline, it's like you had people who now, the Catholic Church and other religions, we need alcohol for religious purposes, which also sound like, medicinal purposes when people were trying to getting around marijuana laws. There were, and when you go and look, one book comes to mind, Mint Juleps with Theodore Roosevelt. It was about the alcohol consumption and the partying or not so much partying in the White House going on with every single president.
Warren Harding, yeah.
Warren
who was the first president elected during Prohibition.
Yep.
We're talking about major drinker.
And Wilson, was like, hey, I need to hide my wine collection because of the Harding administration. Thomas Jefferson almost went bankrupt because of his wine collection.
Yeah.
And now you're going to ban it.
So this was the Noble experiment.
Noble.
One of the leading people behind it was Herbert Hoover,
Yep.
charged of the Food Administration during World War I. Food will win the war.
Yep.
If we go back for a second,
Yeah.
and then Section 2, that Congress can enforce this, they do enforce it with the Volstead Act.
Yep.
And the creation of federal agencies to try to,
Get rid of it.
like get rid of the alcohol.
Yeah.
They're the ones who went out and dumped it down the street, gutters and whatever.
Yep.
So why?
So you look at the why then, again, something that we've probably pointed out quite a bit in these video clips, and by we, I mean Mr. Kogan, the octopus often gets a horrible reputation. Here you have him again. Alcohol is seen as alcohol.
And the saloon
Did I say
specifically.
alcohol is seen as alcohol? I said octopus is like,
Evil.
yeah.
The saloon specifically.
Yep.
The dirty, disgusting saloon where, we're talking thievery takes place, gambling is taking
Political
place,
corruption.
Defiance of the law,
Trafficking.
prostitution is
Yep.
taking place, political corruption, all taking place as a result of these disgusting, dirty saloons.
So if you're looking at the why, it's right here. It's also right here. Since he brings up Herbert Hoover said, food will win the war. When you look here, right here, we waste grain. What's grain going to be used for? In food, to help feed the troops.
Wheat, fruit,
Yep.
corn, potatoes, these are all ingredients in making alcohol.
Right, and here's another document that's telling you the why. We make people poor, we cause poverty, we are against progress, we rob women and children. And again, this is one of these things that, once it was voted down, once it was put into effect, that enforcement thing, that's a whole separate
And it
lesson.
still baffles my mind that the Constitution,
Yeah,
the freedom giving,
yeah,
free speech, free religion, you can own gun, is telling us we can't do something.
right.
And I've instilled this in my students this year. What's the one thing we hate more than anything else as
We
Americans?
don't like being told what to do.
We don't like being told what to do.
Especially when it comes to having a drink.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, I tell you, comedy comes after this. You have a rule in effect. It had to be
You
enforced.
show me a law, I'll show you 30 people trying to
Yeah,
break the law.
exactly. And when it came to the enforcement, not everybody was strictly enforcing it.
Even the people trying to enforce the law were drinking alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Let's go have a drink. Thanks for watching.